Hello again. Welcome to Billy Ho Sports. This weekend, Jim Dandy Stakes at Saratoga is the big race in my book. Also, the Grade One Vanderbilt. Both of those videos are out, released, full previews, breakdowns, past performances, race replays, all that kind of good stuff. Top selections. So give those a look. But now today, I want to tackle a couple of races on Friday at the Spa. Race number 3 is a Grade 2 sprint, the Amsterdam. Then later on, race 9 is a 7 furlong optional claiming race, but it is a loaded field. So I'm hoping we'll visit Del Mar tomorrow for the Grade 2 San Diego and Grade 1 Bing Crosby. We'll do a little past performances and selections for that. Another great weekend of racing, replays. I'll try to put some replays in there, but we're going to go fast because we got 2 races to cover. So right now, you should be subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so. And if you haven't clicked that like button, you should be doing that too. I appreciate that very much. It goes a long way from spreading the content out to horse racing enthusiasts across YouTube so they can see my content and join in all the fun. So if you're on X, formerly Twitter, jump over there and give me a follow at Billy Ho Sports. I don't post a lot, but I do post my videos and I do post during the day from different races and whatnot over the weekend a lot. So stay tuned. Plus, if you see on there, people that I follow are a lot of racetracks, horse racing content providers, handicappers, jockeys, barns, trainers, everything. So I try to follow as many as I can to get all the information I can from Twitter. So we're going to jump right into the past performances and get after it. Okay, race number 3 is the Amsterdam. That's Grade 2, purse of $200,000, 3-year-olds, and six and a half furlong sprint. Lasix not allowed within 48 hours of post time. That's generally the HISA rule for 4212, and that's normally what you'll see. So we're going to start off with post number 1 world record. Rod Brissett, Flavian Pratt will ride. Ran up against a pretty strong group in this Maxfield 175K stakes race. Ran a pretty decent third. Behind, I believe that was Otto the Conqueror that ran second, and I forget who won the race. So Raging Torrent. That was he had a chance to beat Raging Torrent from the inside rail, but just kind of shied away. It looked like to me. So I'm wondering if that's not why they're adding blinkers, because he's in the post position 1 again, 3rd straight race. By the way, he was able to get through and bang out the big maiden victory here, but he was inside and he had a horse, the winner to his outside. So I don't know if that's the reason for the blinkers or not. I don't always know why but they see something during the race where the horse kind of just loses a little bit of focus. And that could have been down the stretch somewhere, because it did appear that he was slowing down and not giving it his all. So world record, I think, is a contender. Donegal Momentum, number 2, I don't believe will be. Tom Morley, Javier Castellano. 3-year-old colt did earn a 99 in this big maiden victory here, Brisnet number, and then came right back with a second place. Tried to go a mile, just didn't quite get there. Just was caught late, really in hand. So back to 7 or back to 6.5. That looks like it would make sense 4-1. But I am probably going to go against this one just because I think the competition was a little bit weaker. And I think that the pace wasn't quite as strong. The speed figures reflected it in the second race, I think, a little bit. So Donegal Momentum, I may have be passing on. Pure Force is Brad Cox. That's Florent Giroux riding. This one looks pretty good, moving up in class. Won by 5 lengths in the 100K OC. This was a fairly slow pace too. Got out in front and just kind of rolled with it at the minus 11, 23:45. In these sprints, you're looking at more 21, 22 in the opening quarter. So 45 is not too bad for the half. So they did pick up the pace a little bit toward the half, but they came home pretty slow. So I don't know what to say about Pure Force, but Brad Cox is an excellent trainer, obviously. Good on these little sprints like this, on dirt sprints. So an interesting one. Jefferson Street is another one that I think is going back to Pure Force. This race, I believe he defeated Discreet Mischief and Mission Beach, 3-5 favorite Discreet Mischief. And Mission Beach was on the Derby Trail. And if you remember, Risk It from the early Derby last winter was also in that race. So he dusted them up pretty good. So, but those were a lot of like past not has-beens but never was type horses. I mean, Risk It had every opportunity in the world to make a move, but just never fired at any distance or versus much of any company really. So Jefferson Street is not like that at all. Fired a giant 101 Brisnet number, winning, going away by 8 lengths, 6.5 at Saratoga, which is also a check mark in his book. Junior Alvarado not really having a good meet so far. Mott really not really doing all that either. So maybe they get off the snide a little bit in this one. But I don't know that I'm going to go here. It did. That was a big race. N1X Allowance Company, 6.5 at Saratoga, June 7th. But he ran right by El Capi. El Capi was another one that a lot of these horses that were kind of like trying the Derby Trail early on as 3-year-olds are now starting to work their way into what distance they want to specialize in. So a lot of these horses are going down to the 7 furlongs and the mile, the sprint distances. So same goes for Valentine Candy, trained by Steve Asmussen. This one, solid horse. Ran just the speed figures aren't really great, but this Woody Stevens grade 1 was a super strong race. Obviously, Bookham Dano wins, and Nutella Fella was in there. Prince of Monaco. Just these are, like I told, those horses that were kind of on the Derby Trail, but Bookham Dano settled into be like more of a 7 furlong miler type, and he turned out to be an absolute stud. So 10-1, didn't run a horrible race, but which kind of shows you that the Bachelor wasn't really a fluke, because he won that race, 97 speed figure. I like these 100s in the middle pace, the E2 numbers. Need to get these late pace numbers up though. He needs 93 to, or better to compete here. So, but I think that running against the grade 1 competition is a plus. Nash was also in that race. He ran evenly 4th, several lengths behind. There was 2 front runners that jumped out to the hot opening half mile, and then closed. You could see these numbers, +8, +13. So they were flying, and there was 2 rabbits out front, and then it was Valentine Candy and another horse along with them, several lengths back. They hit pretty evenly, but just lacked any kind of punch. Then Bookham Dano hit the home stretch and was gone. So they kind of just backed. I don't think Santana was riding Valentine Candy super hard down the stretch after the race was already in hand by Bookham Dano. But Joel Rosario takes them out, and Joel can get him out there. So Joel should have him more forwardly placed like he was in the Renaissance to get him at the first place by the top of the stretch. That's where you want to see Valentine Candy. So I'm not saying this horse can't win this race, but I'm looking for a little bit of value, sired by Justify, which is strong as well. Asmussen, Joel. I mean, all things do point to this being a top choice. 3-1 morning line, so it's not even the top morning line. So if I can get 3-1 on this horse, I'll definitely give it a strong look. It's one of my top 2 choices. has won several listed and black stakes going all the way back to December of 2023. So this is a good spot for him to try to finally claim that graded stakes crown. So selections, we're going to go number 5. Let's see. We're going to go, actually, I'm going a little bit off the board here. I want to see world record with the blinkers, because the race I watched, I went back and watched it again. He was right there, right alongside the leaders, and hit the stretch with a chance down the stretch. Just didn't quite fire. But I think if he gets a little bit more motivation and a little more forwardly placed with the blinkers, I think that 97 can turn into 100, and this late pace can turn into a 93, and that should be good. Flavian Pratt aboard, tactician, coming out of the one hole in a sprint. Nothing wrong with that. Sired by Gunrunner. Nothing wrong with that. Everything looks pretty strong. So I'm going to pick number 1 world record on top. And then I'll have horses like number 5 Valentine Candy, and number 3 Pure Force, I think shows the speed to win. So those are the kind of horses that I'm going for in this race. So on to our next race on the card. We are going to be looking at race 9. And that is just going to be an $80,000 optional claiming race. Purse of $120,000. Yeah, it doesn't look like much, right? But then you start going down this list and you start seeing some familiar names of these older horses. Scotland, 3 Technique, Castle Chaos. And then you got Accretive. I'm not sure exactly how that's pronounced. It looks like it should be Accretive, but it's not. There's no I there, so it's Accretive. All right. Anyway, Chad Brown, Irad, you can't go wrong there. Second in prime power. The speed figures not really all that in the True North, but that's why it's an 80K optional claimer here. Definitely better success versus his own kind. Baby Yoda wheeled back, beat him by just a neck in this previous race, then wheeled back to win the True North. So that kind of gives Accretive a little bit of a bump. By the way, before I get any further, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you haven't done so. You're clicking that like button as well. I certainly do appreciate all the support. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. Maybe by the end of the year. I was thinking by Breeders' Cup, somewhere in that neighborhood. We'll see where we're at in a month or so, if we need to redefine our expectations. But I thank you so much for your support. Follow me on X at Billy Ho Sports. You're going to get all the best racing content I can give you. Top selections, race replays. I try to give you a little bit of everything, past performances, just to give you a good starting point and narrow your field choice down. I know there was only 5 horses in the previous race, which narrows it down, but this race has 12. So if I can get you down to 4 to 6 horses, then I'm already doing my job. So let's continue. Okay, my apologies. I lost my place for a brief second, but we're back. I do like horse number 1, Accretive, 5-1 on morning line. Irad. I mean, you can't go wrong with Chad Brown and Irad. The only thing they're missing is if it was on the turf, but it is coming off a small layoff, 48 days. General Jim is first time Lasix, but remember there's a 48-hour period before race day. So this one, not really one that I'm high on, but worth a little bit of a look. Lost my place once again. Having a stellar day, ladies and gentlemen. We were really getting after it today. Now we're back. Post number 2, General Jim, Shug McGahee, Luis Saez, 4-year-old by Into Mischief. 5th in his right. He's bounced back and forth from the turf to the dirt. Can't seem to find a good spot. Did run a couple of back-to-back really strong races on the dirt, going 7 furlongs and a mile. They're trying to get back to this Pat Day number down here, because after that he just kind of plummeted off the map. Run that huge race last May, But then again, we don't really know what the deal is. It's just a 4-year old colt, not really sure why they can't get him right. Maybe just trying him on the turf, then back to the dirt, then on the turf. Now they're going back to dirt. Uh, Maybe that's just they're just need to stick with the script and give him maybe 2 races in a row where he runs on the dirt, and maybe that'll improve his chances. Running Son of a Gun is number 3, and that's John Toscano and Kendrick Carmouche. 5-year-old gelding by Gunrunner. Not really showing much form in this one either. 7th, 4th, 6th, 2nd. I mean, the speed figures are way down, but they all seem to do have that one race, like the big 100 here. Run a big 106 in the tomfoolery, running 2nd here in the mud back in March. So, not really sure what to think of this one either. There's just the inconsistency from these older horses is going to make this a difficult one to handicap. So moving on to post 4, factually correct, pretty more consistent than the rest of them, and the consistency, if you're looking at it, he's due to win, right? Every other race since way back here, we go back to October at the big A, wins on off the turf. So I don't know why they didn't just leave him off the turf from the beginning. Well, sometimes they don't know. They evidently wanted him to be on the turf, but this one, his first race or his race back in August here, gets pulled mud, 1 mile in the mud, and almost pulls it off with Lescano aboard. Then they go to turf. He gets killed. Then it gets pulled from the turf. He wins. Pulled from the turf, 3rd place. So now they're starting to think, okay, so wins, 3rd, wins, all on dirt. Then has a funky 5th next out off the win. Just doesn't seem to want to put 2 in a row together. Then they go back to turf, but it gets pulled once again in the mud. He wins again. And then they decide to go stick with the dirt, and runs 3rd by a long way. Definitely Subrogate is a pretty good one. So that was a tough outing in that group, but did show the way pretty good. So definitely has some good vibes on the every other race front. So keep an eye on that one. Post 5 is Strava, Norm Cassie, Ricardo Santana. That's a 5-year-old gelding, bounced coming off a win doing 75K. Very poor effort here. Came 6 wide, came up empty. There was a 5-star general. It was a really quality field, though, strong quality. So that was the Knicks Go Stakes. So just didn't have it that day, and that happens. But the back-to-back, but the speed figures before that, I mean, it's not showing anything since way back in May of 2023. So I'm tossing Strava. Sheriff Bianco, I did find briefly interesting. If you go 2 back in this commentator, it was absolutely awful what happened to this poor horse. Stumbled coming out of the gate, then almost unseated the rider. Shout out Jose Lescano for hanging on and getting back on the horse. He kind of had to do the sideways and then held on and then flipped himself back up and recovered the horse nicely. But then just didn't really engage, just kind of hung out in 4th and 5th, finished by 19th, lost the irons too. So it was just, there was no chance. So he just wanted to make sure that he didn't hurt the animal. That was also going 1 1/8. So, he wasn't really going to get engaged there. Then backed up to 6.5 furlongs, maybe still a little PTSD from that last race. Didn't run very well there with Eric Cancel. But Jose Ortiz back in the mount where he rode several times in a row and had probably the best little success, 3rd, 2nd, 4th, 2nd, all 90s, 96. Vosberg, grade 2, was Cody's Wish, ran 4th in that race. So that was some pretty tough company there. So this horse is going to be big odds. So I probably won't be playing it on top, but I think it would be good. You want to insert in your exotic pool. Castle Chaos, first in prime power, solid all the way around. Gotham Mob Boss Robert Falcone trains. Dylan Davis will ride. Second by a neck in the Carter Grade 2. That was an impressive race. We all, well, if you've watched my show or other shows, recently the Met Mile was, he ran in that race. National Treasure won. I was all over National Treasure, but I loved Post Time in that race. And Post Time hustled down the stretch, even though he's probably better at shorter distances, but he can run between 7 and a mile, seems to be his bailiwick. And so it was second by a neck to Post Time, Castle Chaos was, and then came back in the next race with Hoist the Gold and others to run fourth in that grade 1. Second by a nose to Tumbarumba. That was a Hooper grade 3 at Gulfstream. Cigar Mile has run solid all the way around. So this is one of your top choices at 7-2. 3 Technique, 6-1, Morning Line. Rafael Bejarano is the jockey. Jason Cook is the trainer. Not seeing a heck of a lot in this one. I did have a little bit of interest. It showed a little form back last summer like in July, that grade 2 win, Nehrude, but hasn't seen it since. Third in the ACAC, but after that, it's been just all downhill. Turned 7 this year, so maybe just kind of starting to lose a little bit of steam. Was a real bad idea, I thought. Coming off the layoff in his debut was dropping him in Derby Day in the Churchill Downs Stakes with a really strong field there. Got killed. So I'll probably toss 3 Technique, but Zozos is one I do have interest in. Brad Cox, Florence Giroux, 5-year-old by Munnings, has found some success becoming a 7 furlong miler type of horse. This horse was on the Derby Trail, ran in the Kentucky Derby back as a 3-year-old. So kind of tripped and stumbled his way around into its 4- and 5-year-old seasons. So has won the ACAC, was probably the most recent. Last fall was a solid race. This one is a complete toss for me. The Hanshin ran really good in this Churchill Downs grade 1 against Gun Pilot, Hear My Song, Zozos. Coming down the stretch, Zozos was very competitive. It was a decently hot pace, 22:44, 109. So he had a 106. That 87 needs to be more like a 93. But this race right here that he earned 98 on is going to be competitive in this field. So I feel pretty good about that one. This one, he got out fast. Was completely sandwiched coming out of the gate. 2 horses just sandwiched him, and then he squeezed through and sprinted out to the lead. Lasted about a half a mile before Giroux must have noticed something was wrong, because then he started easing them back, and I mean eased them all the way back to 9th place. So I don't really count that race. I'll look back to the previous race and give him a nod on that one, because I thought that was the strongest, most previous race of any of these. I'm going to speed it up here a little bit. I'm passing on Dwayne and Major Blue. Same thing with Disarmed with Rudy Rodriguez and T-Gaff. Scotland is the last probably horse that I would have excuse me, interest in. Bill Mott, Junior Alvarado. It seems like he kind of rushed him a little bit. They debuted May 2nd, Thurby, and ran third by 4 lengths. That was a really tough race. Angkor won that race, closed the game Sugar, who came back and beat Skelly recently. So Skelly, one of the best sprinters in the nation. So Scotland run third to them. So I guess they thought, well, let's get him back out there. And 4 weeks later, he was going 7 again and didn't fare very well. Just, I guess, no final bid in that one. Then came right back again in June 22nd for 6 furlongs. Ran a lot better, slower paced race. But because this horse is more of a presser than a leader, so maybe the pace just wasn't to his liking. So, but did get up for 2nd. So I think that the next race is going to be an improvement. So what I'm looking at from Scotland is a much better effort going down the pike. So let's make our final selections and get on out of here. Okay, this race is loaded with lost potential, it seems like. Number 7, Castle Chaos, definitely strong resume. Number 9, Zozos. If people look at that last race and shy away, I'd like to get some value on him. I'm probably going to pick Zozos to win the race. And then number 7, Castle Chaos, close second. Maybe run like a 7-9 exacta, but I do like to include the 1 and the 12. I might start leaning more towards Scotland with that pressing style, because they could get out front and tire out with these front runners. And that is interesting. But I do like the live long shot, the number 6 horse. That was Sheriff Bianco. So I'm going to include that one in some selections. So that's going to do it for this segment, Friday happy hour stakes racing at the Spa. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to try to be back with more content as soon as tomorrow. Del Mar. And until then, I thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, share, follow me on X, Billy Ho Sports. Thanks for watching. See you soon.